This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
Blast hits checkpoint near presidential palace in Somali capital. DR Congo confirms COVID-19 variants from the UK and South Africa amid reports of Ebola resurgence. And Tunisia agrees to join COVAX scheme to access vaccines. Hello and welcome to Africa Live. As always, great to have you with us. I'm Richard Nta, live in Nairobi. And for those of you joining us from across the continent and around the globe, we thank you for joining us. Let's take a look at other stories making headlines this hour. Bollywood and Nollywood come together for Valentine's Day movie to celebrate cross-cultural love. Once again, welcome to Africa Live. So good to have you with us. I'm Richard Nta. We start with a major earthquake in Japan. At least 20 people have been injured, according to local media reports. A magnitude 7.1 quake has hit Fukushima Prefecture. The epicenter was near the eastern coast of Honshu Island at a depth of 60 kilometers. There's been no tsunami warning, but the government has set up a task force to monitor the situation. No abnormality was found at Totai No. 2 nuclear plant after the quake. A government spokesperson said at least 950,000 homes have been left without power. And in Somalia, a car bomb in the capital, Mogadishu, has created fresh concerns as the country plans to conduct general elections. A suicide bomber on Saturday detonated an explosive-laden vehicle at a strategic checkpoint. From Mogadishu, CGTN's Abdulaziz Billo has more.
The suicide bomber rammed into this security checkpoint leading to the country's presidential palace. A statement from the Somali police says officers opened fire on the car after it drove past another checkpoint in the Dabka area.
The speeding vehicle came from the Dabka area as police fired on it. I was driving a rickshaw, and after hearing the gunfire and seeing the car, I rushed to the nearby building for safety.
Police say 8 vehicles and 9 rickshaws were damaged in Saturday's blast. Authorities have pinned the blame on Al-Qaeda-linked militant group Al-Shabaab. The country is due to hold national elections delayed by a lack of agreement on the voting process. Legislative polls will be held fast, followed by presidential elections. Al-Shabaab has threatened to disrupt the vote. Last month, it killed scores at a Freak hotel in Mogadishu in a siege that lasted for hours. Last week, a landmine attack killed a dozen security agents in the central Somali town of Dusamareb, as regional and federal leaders met there to discuss the stalled election and Somalia's future.
Insecurity and attacks are quite common around this time. Security forces have done a commendable job in the recent years, but more needs to be done to ensure that further attacks do not happen now as the country plans to head to the polls.
Last week, members of the Somali opposition, including several presidential candidates, announced that they no longer recognize President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo as the Somali president after the mandates of both houses of parliament and the executive expired. On Monday, federal and regional leaders are expected to convene in Garowe, the capital of Puntland state, in efforts to end the months-long impasse surrounding the upcoming vote. Abdulaziz Billo, CGTN, Mogadishu, Somalia.
Health officials in the Democratic Republic of Congo have confirmed 2 COVID-19 variants that were originally discovered in the UK and South Africa. The new variants have been detected amid a rise in coronavirus cases and a resurgence of Ebola in the east of the country. CGTN's Chris Ochomoringa has more from Kinshasa.
COVID-19 patients are receiving treatment at this isolation center in the DRC capital, Kinshasa. The facility has had a steady stream of patients since the second wave of infections were reported last year. The spike in cases led health experts to believe a new variant was circulating in the country, and the tests they carried out confirmed their suspicions.
We detected the UK and the South African variant in 3 samples. So the UK variant in 2 samples. 1 sample from a Congolese coming from France who arrived here in Kinshasa around January 28. And also in another sample from a Congolese, also citizen, that who live in Kolwezi with no travel histories. So we believe that maybe this variant is already in the community, so it's spreading out in the community in Kolwezi probably. And the South African variant we detected in, I can say, a Zambian citizen who came from Zambia to work in Kolwezi in mining.
Congolese authorities have urged the public to rigorously follow health measures like hand washing and the wearing of masks to protect themselves from the new variants. The discovery of the new variants has come at a time when the DRC is facing a resurgence of Ebola in the eastern territory of Butembo.
There are 3 cases confirmed of Ebola now in the North Kivu. And right now we are doing sequencing to understand what can be the source, as we know that the first case was a spouse of a survivor, and we think that maybe she was contaminated by her husband, but we need to confirm that.
The country's largest Ebola outbreak occurred in eastern DRC in 2018. The response to that outbreak was marked by the community's mistrust of health workers. Congolese health experts are now using the experience they gained in dealing with that outbreak to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic.
I think the main lesson that we have learned is the commitment of the community. So the first things to do is to commit people, starting by the political authorities. Once they are committed, you can now set up response activities.
The DRC government will have a lot of convincing to do to assure the population about the efficacy of the COVID-19 vaccines that the World Health Organization plans to start shipping in the country. Health workers faced a lot of resistance in convincing people to accept the Ebola vaccines in 2018, when the country experienced its worst outbreak in eastern DRC. Chris Sochamringa, CGTN, Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo.
The House of People's Representatives in Tunisia has adopted a draft law authorizing the state to join COVAX. COVAX is a global initiative to ensure equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines. The new bill authorizes the government to comply with terms set by the Gavi Vaccine Alliance, which is co-leading the COVAX facility. Adnan Shawashi reports.
The head of the Commission on Health and Social Affairs at Parliament said Tunisia needs to guarantee the international procurement of vaccines. Authorities will provide vaccines from many sources and through different initiatives, especially COVAX.
The Tunisian parliament has authorized the state to join COVAX and save lives. Tunisia is one of the 18 middle-income countries out of 70 which filed for joining the COVAX initiative, and the request was accepted. This program will provide 20% of our needs in vaccines, or some 4.8 million doses.
The Minister of Health explains that the government and not vaccine manufacturers will compensate citizens for damages that may result from vaccine side effects.
COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers have imposed these conditions because the vaccines were developed in record time, and insurance companies refuse to cover these risks under the pretext of inability to assess side effects.
The head of the Pasteur Institute in Tunis explained that the National Pharmacovigilance Center, which monitors the safety of medicines, is analyzing data provided by the World Health Organization. In addition, experts at the center are monitoring adverse effects of COVID-19 vaccines.
Elderly people are vulnerable. If some 500,000 to 600,000 were the first to get vaccinated, it's normal that the side effects or even deaths were recorded because of their poor health. We cannot confirm the nature of all side effects, but I believe they'll be minimal. No one can claim that vaccines cause direct side effects. The results are rather encouraging for the moment.
Members of the COVID-19 task force in Tunisia also declared that vaccine side effects are minimal. The Ministry of Health is preparing a draft law on the criteria and ways for compensation for patients who experience side effects from COVID-19 vaccines. Tunisian authorities assert that the health situation remains critical as the COVID-19 death toll has exceeded 7,800. The Scientific Committee to Combat the Coronavirus has urged the government to extend the targeted lockdown until March 15th. Adnan Shawishi, CGTN, Tunis.
Zimbabwean President Emerson Mnangagwa has sent his Chinese New Year greetings as people welcome the Year of the Ox. In his message, Mnangagwa congratulated China and its people for continued global support.
First of all, allow me to wish the people of China Guo Nian Hao. I hope I have pronounced that correctly. I mean to say Happy New Year in Chinese. Our dear friends of China, these vaccines are certainly providing a new light of positivity for the people of Zimbabwe in these tough times, which have been donated to us by the government and the people of China. A light at the end of a dark tunnel. We are most grateful for this life-saving gesture. From our people to your people, thank you to my brother, President Xi Jinping. And thank you to all the people of China. I understand that this year, the new year for the people of China is the year of the ox. This is fitting. The ox, in our own tradition in Zimbabwe, of course, is a strong, hard-working animal. It is both intelligent and dependable.
You're watching Africa Live. More news after the break. Here are the headlines. Kenyan artists turn digital to sell works. And Valentine's Day movie celebrates cross-cultural love.
Africa is a continent of diversity, with varied climates and enchanting geography, and a people so distinct, but with a shared enduring spirit. We are at the heart of the continent to bring you the untold stories.
Let's have a look.
We celebrate Africa as it shapes its own destiny.
Adnan Shawishi, Tunis, Cairo,
Juba,
Johannesburg, Ethiopia,
Tanzania.
Africa Live. Find your voice.
Welcome back, everyone, to Africa Live. Thanks for staying with us. COVID-19 and subsequent lockdowns have had a devastating impact on the Kenyan art and handicraft sector. Artists and artisans who are among non-essential workers have attracted little visibility during the pandemic. CGTN's Daniel Arap Moy looks at how some artists are trying to keep the lights on amid the pandemic.
Painting is not only an artistic form of expression for John Kimotho, but also his source of income. Just like many other artists, Kimotho is facing a challenge as a result of the pandemic. COVID-19 has stifled and destabilized his market, which is pegged on tourists. But Kimotho, just like many other artists and artisans, have had to find new ways to sell their products. They have turned to digital platforms to connect with their customers.
We usually sell to tourists when they come to Karen, and some people contact us for online export sales, and that's what is keeping us going.
Despite the challenges associated with COVID-19, many of Kenya's artists and artisans are still holding on to their cultural heritage.
It is a culture of Maasai. And in our tribe, that's a source of income. And also it is our culture. We like to keep our culture, and we don't want to change our culture.
The products we make, we try to make them originals, as in African. The raw materials we use are rockery.
Their works range from ornaments to sculpture and functional items depicting the Kenyan culture.
Like so many Kenyan artists and artisans, Kimotho, Njuguna and Nta say they've had to make some tough choices in order to survive during the pandemic.
For now, they remain hopeful that their fortunes will soon improve for the better. Daniel Arap Moi, CGTN, Nairobi, Kenya.
Many people around the world celebrate Valentine's Day by showing appreciation for the people they love. But this year, the COVID-19 pandemic has forced couples to celebrate a bit differently. In Uganda, there's little eagerness to celebrate Valentine's Day at all, which is having an impact on local businesses. Leon Sanyange reports.
This Valentine's Day, couples will be spending quality time together, some exchanging gifts. Florist Fiona Tayebwa is busy preparing her deliveries for the day.
With this business comes seasonality, and with Valentine's, that's when the sales are actually extremely high. Everyone wants to order, everyone wants something.
But this year, business has been slow, and she is not alone in taking a hit. Emmanuel Museruka owns a photography studio. Couples often book photo shoots around this time, but this year there have been few bookings for Valentine's Day.
The fact that we are just from COVID-19, pandemic lockdown, or we are even still in it yet, yeah. So it is a bit tricky. People might save some money for themselves.
In Uganda, Valentine's Day is celebrated with lots of camaraderie. Couples are often seen clad in red. The streets are littered with Valentine's Day merchandise. This year, many couples in Uganda are likely to swap a romantic evening out for a home celebration. Curfew restrictions imposed to curb the spread of the coronavirus mean people cannot stay out late. Uganda has reported upwards of 39,000 COVID-19 cases. That has dampened the enthusiasm for some.
That is how most of the Ugandans, I would say, are going to find it out there. Very much so, they would want to go on and celebrate Valentine in the best way possible. But of course, with what is going on right now, it is not going to be the same Valentine that we have always had.
People lost their jobs, or people had salary cuts. So if someone wanted to spend 200,000, they're now spending 100,000.
Despite the pandemic, there are still ways to mark the special day. Tayebwa hopes that a bouquet of flowers could lighten people's spirits at a difficult time. Leon Sanyange, CGTN, Kampala, Uganda.
Actors from Bollywood in India and Nollywood in Nigeria have been collaborating on a film to celebrate cross-cultural love. The movie Namaste Wahala will debut on Netflix on Valentine's Day. CGTN's Joy Karuki, Juma with the details.
This is Raj, my cousin.
Namaste Wahala, a film title that translates as Hello Trouble in Hindi and Nigerian Pidgin. It is a film about a Nigerian woman who falls in love with an Indian investment banker in Lagos.
I'm going to marry you.
The young couple faces various challenges in their quest to be together.
You can't just go to your in-laws' house just like that.
Let them know you are one of us. Blend in.
It is very important to make films like these, wherein you show cross-cultural love stories. Because in every country, people just separate each other, as far as religion is concerned. And especially in India, you can't marry somebody if they're from a different religion or a different caste.
I think the thing I love the most are the underlying messages, which is like, the beauty in embracing your similarities, the beauty in embracing love, even if you're from different backgrounds. It has a very strong woman empowerment theme.
Hamisha Dariani Ahuja is the brains behind the movie. Ahuja gave up running her Indian-Nigerian restaurant to pursue her dreams of making movies.
I wanted to do something that would be more relatable here. So it's a full-on Nollywood movie, but I brought in some Indian actors to make it a little bit more fun. And what I tried to do is it's the 90s style Bollywood. So I don't know if you remember back in the day, the singing and dancing around trees. We have all of that. It's a very cheesy, mushy, romantic drama, which I'm very passionate about.
You're my daughter, and you didn't teach me to walk away from doing the right thing.
The production was completed before coronavirus restrictions made movie making difficult. For Ahuja, this is a dream come true. Born of Indian parents, Ahuja has lived most of her life in Nigeria.
I've lived in an Indian house. I know the Nigerian culture, the pigeon, the food, and it's so interesting how, even though everybody thinks, even in the Namaste Wahala, the cultures are so different, we're actually so similar. We're actually all one, and that's sort of the theme of the whole movie, that we are all one.
Shot mostly in English, the film has a production team of over 50 people from India and Nigeria. Ahuja says she hopes to create a sequel in the coming months. Joy Kirukijuma, CGTN.
And we are not done just yet. We've got your sports news coming up